everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Not surprisingly, our theme for today is Don't Be Fooled. Psalms chapter 30, verses 4 and 5 says, "Sing the praises of the Lord, you his faithful people. Praise his holy name, for his anger lasts only for a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Suffering is not an exception, but an expectation in following Jesus, with both joy and grief being necessary elements of a life well spent. In fact, the brain centers activated by both are nearly identical. We are closest to the divine in the deepest throes of both joy and grief. Leaning into rather than trying to ignore difficult circumstances is actually the hidden pathway to joy. I don't mean just any kind of joy. I mean unshakable joy that can only be found on the other side of those doorways which open to pain and trials. The cement of true joy is most evident in the shaking of our lives' foundations. We're all prone to react badly when things don't go our way. However, we can choose our own thoughts, or more rightly, God's thoughts for us. We can literally, as Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. It sounds simple, but it's not always. It seems easy, but not usually. Even Jesus himself didn't sugarcoat the truth and both warns as well as encourages us in the book of John, chapter 16, verse 33, saying, "These things I have spoken to you, so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have troubles, but take courage. I have overcome the world." In the middle of some of the most difficult seasons of my life, I can tell you honestly, I have given in to fear, panic, depression, perversion, and addiction. I have, as it said in the book of Zechariah, chapter 4 and verse 10, despised the day of small things. When it was most important to trust God and be perfected in love, I allowed the enemy a foothold. But just as with Job, King David, and a host of others from the Hebrews 11 Hall of Faith, I never walked away from God, and God never left me. He never turned away from me. He never ceased to help and assure me of his spirit living in me, and I was helped. The only reason I tell you this is to encourage you and to tell you again that we do have a choice. I see that now more clearly than ever. The choices we make are based in true freedom, and the results are real. We can speak life, or we can speak death, or we can choose not to speak at all. But there will be consequences, whether in the positive wrought through the testing of our faith or the negative born of inaction and unbelief. Nearly everything we're subjected to from a sensory perspective daily is set against that end. We're constantly bombarded with counterfeit means and pathways to joy. We're falsely led to believe that our Lord is whatever we think we need. And the worst part of all is that we are told it's all good if it makes us feel good. The illusions of self-actualization and relativity are utterly diabolical. They are the penultimate counterfeit that we and dozens of generations of humanity before us have been striving toward, and they are a lie from the enemy, plain and simple. But as I said, we do have a choice. In every circumstance, every situation, or in the face of any outward influence, we get to decide how they all affect our hearts and minds. No weapon formed against us will prosper, as it says in the book of Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 17, if we choose wisely. Our authority, our nature, our strength, you name it, God has given it. Not our things, but his. Not our promises, but his. Not our faithfulness and loving kindness, but his. As the book of Colossians chapter 3 verses 2 and 3 says, when we approach difficult circumstances with our eyes turned upward in the acknowledgement that through Jesus our old nature has literally died, our lives are now hidden with Christ in God. The lies of the world and the enemy cannot touch us. I'll leave you today with this passage from the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verses 8 and 9 that says, be of sober spirit. Be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. But resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same experience of suffering are being accomplished by your brethren who are in the world. So as you walk through another day, be prepared, be encouraged, and especially when things get hard, remember your identity in Jesus and the perfect result that comes from intentionally putting your focus on him rather than on your circumstances. Well, be blessed until next time, guys. And as always, make today a great one.